entitled to their view. Even if it's stupid, ignorant, racist, you're still entitled to it. But this is what's normal here, okay?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I agree. The stupidity is kind of normal that we see in American politics. We cover it every day. But yeah, agreed. I don't agree with this guy necessarily. He's entitled to his opinion, and hopefully Charles Barkley and him do not begin brawling. Although if they do, we'll cover it on the show. Anyway, that is unfortunately all the time we have for the show today. Sharon, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on Big News Wednesday. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure's all mine. I'm going to head over to TYT and maybe I'll grab that shirt. Maybe I'll have it on next Wednesday.
Nice. Maybe we'll send you one. No big deal. Really, let's talk. Anyway, for everyone else out there, thank you for joining us for this show. I will also be joining the second hour of the Young Turks, as well as the bonus episode coming on later today. So hope to see you there. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.
today. Breaking down news of the day. We have Wosney Lambre, senior staff writer at The Ringer and TYT contributor all-star. Always fascinating to have his breakdown. Top story of the day, Nikki Haley suspends her campaign, refuses to endorse Trump now, but says this. Here it is.
Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, "Never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind." It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people. This is now his time for choosing. I end my campaign with the same words I began it, from the book of Joshua. I direct them to all Americans, but especially to so many of the women and girls out there who put their faith in our campaign. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God will be with you wherever you go.
Yep, and according to some Trump supporters, that God is Trump. We've played clips here on the show of people literally praying to Donald Trump. Pulled over in a traffic incident, they pray to Donald Trump. The irony of Nikki Haley is this. Nikki Haley has said Donald Trump is unhinged. Nikki Haley has said he is a divider. And she also said, basically, the man does not have the mental capacity to be president of the United States. Well, naturally, if you believe those things about someone running for president, you will say they should not be president. Kind of like what she says about Joe Biden. But she's coy now. Let's get into it. All right, the former South Carolina governor says she was suspending her campaign after losing all but two of this year's nominating contest, further clearing the path for the former president to be the GOP standard bearer for the third consecutive presidential election. Quote, "I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that," Haley said in a speech in Charleston, South Carolina. "I have no regrets. And while I will no longer be a candidate, I will not stop using my voice for the things I believe in." So let's go back to this statement just for a moment. If you really believe that Donald Trump is the horrible presidential candidate, you say, why not run as a third party candidate, Nikki? I mean, that's a viable option to provide an opportunity for those in the party to express their disbelief in Donald Trump. Well, she has something to say. Haley, who was Trump's first ambassador to the United Nations, declined to immediately endorse her former boss, saying, quote, "It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that," she shared. And at its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people. Nikki, that's what Trump is doing. That's why he has Senator Tim Scott as the token Negro on the campaign trail. This is about diversity, Nikki, all right? He's already got that memo, especially your buddy who turned his back on you. You got the memo quite early. Quoting Margaret Thatcher, which was interesting, former British prime minister, couldn't find an American leader to quote. Someone Haley considers a role model. She said this about potentially eventually supporting the GOP nominee. Quote, "Never just follow the crowd, always make up your own mind." Haley emphasized that she will continue to advocate for the conservative domestic and foreign policy she supports and cautioned against some of the dangers such as isolationism and a lack of fiscal discipline. And that she sees coming from Washington. Now, she suggested that Congress is, quote, "filled with followers, not leaders," and again, call for term limits, while calling on Americans to turn away from the darkness of hatred and division. Her decision arrived the day after Super Tuesday when she won on the Vermont among 15 states that held GOP contests. She also won Washington, D.C., a heavily Democratic jurisdiction, on Sunday. Haley gave voice to a significant segment of the GOP that is wary of Trump's candidacy, while also revealing some of his vulnerabilities among moderate to suburban voters. And she did quite well with middle-aged white women. All right, so the reality is, as I said before, when Nikki Haley does not win, she's going to stop talking all of this jazz about Trump being unhinged, about Trump having dementia, about Trump not knowing what he's talking about, and he's unfit to be president. All of that is going to cease as soon as he is the heir apparent. Now, some people cite Super Tuesday as the reason she did this about face. Hell no, it's not Super Tuesday. It was the Super Supreme Court decision that basically said you cannot remove Donald Trump from the presidential ballot, a decision I completely disagree with based on constitutional standards and the enforcement clause. States do have the right to enforce. But I digress. She can't pull out of Super Tuesday immediately after the Supreme Court decision. It's too close. So she pulls out after Super Tuesday, but I do believe the catalyst was in fact the decision. Wosney, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Nikki Haley is out here just playing politics. It's kind of been her nature from the start. Even when she started her campaign, she refused to kind of deal with the person who was so obviously the Republican frontrunner for the primary nomination. Like, she just never went at Donald Trump. I'm sure maybe she wanted to be president for sure. I mean, you have to have a certain type of ego to be a politician in the first place. And of course, it doesn't surprise me that somebody like her would think that she would be fit to be president. But I think even her saying that she's not right now endorsing Donald Trump as if he needs it, I think that's just more politics. She's trying to negotiate something nice and cushy for herself, perhaps in Trump's cabinet or something, just like last time, for her endorsement. That's all that means to me. Nikki Haley's not going to come out and say Donald Trump, in good consciousness, I can't come out and endorse Donald Trump. He's unhinged. He's crazy. He's a terrible candidate. Go do it pull the lever for Joe Biden. She's just angling for more stuff, playing politics.
Yeah, I agree. And when I read her comments again, I said, maybe she's going to run for Congress because she decided to cite how unpopular Congress is. And it seemed to be a throwaway statement until you realize this person is very strategic and very political, like you said, dear brother. That may be her next move. All right. Christian University, known as Liberty University, founded by the late Jerry Falwell, has received a $14 million fine because they covered up sexual assaults on the campus. Put up the picture, full of mass. This is in Virginia. Department of Education has imposed a record $14 million fine on Liberty University, once again founded by the late Jerry Falwell, over rampant violations. I'm going to explain that in just a moment. Rampant violations of federal law related to campus safety. Authorities announced this on Tuesday. The investigation into the university was prompted by a 2021 lawsuit alleging repeat mishandling of sexual assault complaints. Federal officials issued the fine against the Virginia-based Evangelical Christian institution for failure to comply with the Clery Disclosure of Campus Security and Campus Crime Statistics Act. The law passed in 1990. This act is so damn common sense. Nobody really violates it to this degree. That's primarily why the fine is so healthy, all right? This mandates that certain crimes be required for schools that receive federal student aid or financial aid funds, okay? The $14 million was assessed against Liberty as part of a settlement agreement over, quote, material and ongoing violations. Keep the graphic up. Material and ongoing violations. Understand this. While the government has fined the university, if what the government says is true. The university engaged in criminal conduct by covering up sexual assault, by obstructing justice mandated by the 1990 law. But I digress. So according to the material violations or the violations, they are or were in violation of the treatment of sexual assault survivors. The Department of Education said in the press release, quote, "This is the largest fine ever imposed for violating the Clery Act ever since 1990. The government found that Liberty lacked the administrative capacity to comply with the Clery Act between 2016 and 2023. As a result, the Jerry Falwell founded university issued inaccurate and incomplete annual security reports, failed to collect, disclose, properly classify, and properly publicize crime statistics. They also failed to issue emergency alerts and campus-wide warnings. The university was also seriously remiss in its obligation under the Violence Against Women Act, which amended the Clery Act." Okay, so the government is somewhat double talking here, in my opinion. They cite these are extreme violations. Now you have to remember, Liberty University is a very wealthy university. They have multiple colleges underneath their big umbrella known as Liberty. They are a huge enterprise. For the government to say, well, they lacked the administrative capacity. How? You have colleges with 500 students. They are able to comply with this federal law. This college has thousands, and they are not. Doesn't make sense to me. They receive federal financial aid, which basically means any kid 18, they get a blank check from the government to go to their school. There's more. The department found that among other crimes, you heard it, crimes, the university was especially negligent in documenting the Violence Against Women Act offenses for stalking, domestic violence, and dating violence when at least one of these incidents occurred as part of the same transactional occurrence as a primary criminal offense, according to the regulators. A part of the agreement, Liberty agreed to spend $2 million over the next 2 years on campus security and compliance upgrades. Okay, so they got the money. They have the money. While the university maintains that we have repeatedly endured selective and unfair treatment by the department, the university also concurs there were numerous deficiencies that existed in the past. The school's press release goes on. We acknowledge and regret these past failures and have taken these necessary improvements seriously. However, that statement doesn't match the past actions of the administration. Quote, victims of sexual assault, this is their quote, victims of sexual assault felt dissuaded by Liberty administration's reputation and punishing sexual assault survivors rather than helping them. Federal investigators wrote in the May report, Liberty has faced increasing public pressure in recent years over policies that survivors say allow sexual violence to run unchecked. The prelim report says overlooked allegations of violence reached all the way to the top, including accusations involving a former university president and a senior administrator. However, the May report contains new details about the university's attempt to cover its ass. Education department investigators, for example, discovered that senior officials in the HR department sought the assistance of IT to wipe certain computer hard drives on April 26, 2022. Understand, this is the HR department calling IT to cover evidence. Your human resources department is engaged in criminal conspiracy. There's more. The very week that the review team first visited the campus, survivors filed a lawsuit in 2021 against Liberty saying it had ignored their reports while enforcing a code of conduct known as the Liberty Way. Started to sound real occultish now. So they have their own code of conduct outside of the government called the Liberty Way. Okay? It continues. A dozen women settled with the Lynchburg Virginia University the following year in an agreement that remains private. In 2021, ProPublica documented how women who had been raped faced potential violations of the school's code when they reported what happened to them. Some were told they would get into trouble because they had been drinking. Others recalled how university staffers discouraged students from reporting when they were assaulted. The assault, college administrators argued, proved they had had sex before marriage. That is against the Liberty Way, which was against Liberty's honor code. Several said college staffers altered or removed evidence tied to their reports. Ladies and gentlemen, I must remind you again, this is all criminal conduct. Put up the picture of one of the most infamous moments of Liberty University. And let me say this, a lot of people go to Liberty University, and I know I'm going to get the emails and tagged on Twitter. I don't give a damn. And I'm going to say it clearly. If you're not able to stand up against sexual violence on your campus, you are just as much of a feckless leader as the president among you. Liberty University's former president, Jerry Falwell Jr., had to step down after this picture that was posted and then deleted on Instagram sparked controversy because of the strict Liberty Way code. Okay? Liberty University students, they are required to dress with appropriateness and modesty. Obviously, I'm wholly offended by what he's wearing for sure. Okay. Based on the previous report. Investigators noted, for instance, that police took a report involving an alleged rape that was committed by a former Liberty president. But that incident failed to make a daily crime log. The report did not name the president or what came of the investigation. The Post reported that only 2 presidents were alive when the report was produced. The junior Falwell and John Burritt, a member of the board. Borg did not return requests for comment, but Falwell told USA Today that he had never heard of a rape allegation involving a Liberty president while he was at the institution. He said he had spoken to Education Department investigators a few months back, but they did not ask him about the rape allegation involving a former president. Well, sir, that's what happens when you're the target of the investigation. They get information elsewhere. They know you're going to lie. All right, Wosney, big, bad Liberty University, one of the most well-attended Christian universities in America, covering up crimes. What say you?
I wish I could say I was surprised, but this tends to be the case whenever an institution ends up finding themselves embroiled in controversy or something that they obviously screwed up at. They go to the ass covering immediately. And the true shame of this, as you know, Dr. Richie, is that an institution, purporting to call itself Christian in origin, would put PR and other interests before the interests of actual people. The people come last in this case. And that's the saddest part in my mind, is that an institution that claims to be walking in the footsteps of Jesus Christ himself would treat the victims of sexual abuse this way and neglect their care and actually go beyond that, attack these people and make them feel as if, they're doing the wrong thing by reporting their victimhood and attacks is crazy. But again, we can't say we're surprised. And then we know the history of Liberty University itself. These guys don't have a sterling reputation on their own. So I wish it was the case that more institutions would put people before profits and people before, bad PR. But that tends to rarely be the case.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a cultural issue on that campus. We will provide updates as they come. Hell of a thing. Hell of a thing. Nonprofit housing director has been charged. Why? She stole 30 homes, according to the report. Put it up full mass. This is a sad, sad story. According to the United States Attorney's Office, Zena Thomas, the director of a Detroit housing nonprofit geared toward helping homeowners at risk, of foreclosure, was arrested on the 28th of February. Why? For her role in a fraud scheme designed to steal dozens of homes from low-income residents, and she even lives in one of the stolen properties. Before Ms. Thomas was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and aggravated identity theft, she served as director of the home ownership programs for the United Community Housing Coalition in Detroit. She joined them in 2021. U.S. Attorney Don Eisen said in a statement, quote, "This scheme targeted some of our most financially vulnerable citizens and was perpetrated by an individual whose job it was to help those very people avoid losing their homes to foreclosure." I'm going to explain the scheme. The news release came from the U.S. Attorney's Office states during her stint as director, Thomas and others conspired to steal more than 30 properties in Detroit and other parts of the Wayne County low-income community. It's a scheme that targeted low-income residents facing potential tax foreclosure. Now, I want you to keep that picture up. I want to remind everybody, the director comes in and acts as if I am the savior. We are here to help. Trust me, I will set you free, okay? According to the complaint, Thomas and others allegedly perpetrated a scheme to defraud by filing multiple fraudulent quitclaim deeds, frequently transferring the target properties from the victim owners to non-existent interim owners before ultimately selling the properties to unwitting third parties. Wow. Everyone is getting played, okay? The homeowner who is facing a bump in the road, okay? The quit claim is a fraud. And then the person who purchases is unaware that they are part of this scheme. According to the Department of Revenue, quit claim deeds, also known as non-warranty deeds, can be used to transfer property and clear titles, which states that sellers tend to be more willing to transfer property through these types of deeds. However, quitclaim deeds offer no warranty that the grantor owns or has any rights to transfer the property, making it a very simple dynamic. Per the complaint, Thomas or someone else also allegedly falsely notarized the fraudulent deeds to make them look legitimate, allowing them to file the fake documents with the Register of Deeds. There's more. The U.S. Attorney's Office said the former housing director is accused of emailing a Wayne County Treasurer's Office employee fake driver's licenses and other documents that were uploaded into the Treasury's property tax administration system to pending foreclosures. Quote, Thomas received payment for at least some of the properties via wire transfer into a bank account in the name of her realty company. And Thomas then transferred proceeds from that account to a personal bank account, the complaint states. Wayne County Register of Deeds, Bernard J. Youngblood, said that a number of complaints to his deed fraud task force and an investigation is what led to Thomas's arrest. Naturally, she's not doing this by herself. It takes a few people to pull this off, but just think about how sad this is. This individual has a specialized skill set in order to help individuals who have been victimized by this predatory system we call home ownership and finance. And in the process of her job, she decides to manipulate their desperation in order to personally benefit herself. Individuals like this, and it aggravates me to no end. Individuals like this who literally, as a routine, place themselves in positions of trust to harm people who need an advocate are part of the reason why folk don't trust anybody. All right, Wosney, thoughts here?
You just hit it right on the head with that. The level of the fraud and the deception here is mind-blowing. The lengths to which this woman went to defraud these folks, again, some of our most vulnerable fellow citizens, the levels that she went to defraud these folks is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
However, the most pernicious part, man, about this is that, as you said, folks tend to not believe that anybody wants to help them. So even people who are having it, having the worst go of it, man, they tend to want to try to go it on their own, because there's just no faith and belief that there are genuine actors out there willing to act in favor or on their behalf. And these kinds of things, they just eat at the ability for genuine good actors to go out and try to help folks. And that, to me, is the saddest part about this, is that somebody who actually needs some help in the future is going to see a story like this and be like, everything's a fraud, everything's a scam, and I'm out here on my own, butt naked. It's really, truly sad.
I highly encourage anyone who was victim of this fraud to seek legal counsel, because the employee was, in fact, working her regular job. She was an employee. An attorney will be able to tell you the rest, all right? We got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks.
Ooh.
Now, these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like. tyt.com/join, and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitsing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny. Bye. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing. I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Such a big fan. Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
This is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT? Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power, it makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. We have a lot of comments. Let me read as many as I can. Angry _ Jedi. Yep, and someone needs to destroy that golden calf with the bad toupee. That's funny. But ironically, you're right. He is a false god to some. I am Sock. I'm throwing all of my support behind Jason Palmer for American Samoa. And yeah, Bad Brad. So she is endorsing Trump without endorsing Trump. She must think we are stupid as Trump supporters. She pathetic. And here's the thing, Trump is going to come out and say, yeah, Haley endorsed me. Absolutely. And they're going to believe him if he just says it. He doesn't even need endorsements. He can just say that he got endorsed by her. B. Brown, that's right. Detroit just can't catch a break. I was thinking the same thing when I saw the story. And Twitch. Yeah. Hootdy _ people spoke to me. There are many that are underreported and probably will never come forward. Many have taken their own lives. I hate this school. It's so sad, isn't it? And it was criminal. Unfortunately, nobody's going to jail. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
All right. Yeah. So this is the Karen, and I want to make sure we had audio. Do we have audio? All right. No audio. So here's what we're going to do. We'll get the technical issue resolved. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll come back. All right. Indisputable stick and stay. All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. Situation, temporary. It's a technical issue. We'll bring the Karen back in just a moment. All right, hell of a thing. There's a school teacher, middle school teacher, preyed on at least 5 students, put it up for a mass. This is a hell of a story, a lot of twists and turns. According to Houston, Texas authorities and reports, 27-year-old Reginald Van Long, a former charter middle school teacher, has been accused of sexually assaulting at least five of his own students. Van Long reportedly went so far as to climb through a bedroom window of one of the students and used the backseat of his car to engage in illegal activity with the minors. Van Long is facing charges of inappropriately assaulting a child between the ages of 14 to 17, online solicitation of a minor under 14, and improper relations with the student. Following his arrest, Van Long was taken into the Smith County Jail, where he's being held on a $400,000 bond. Per the probable cause arrest affidavit, a witness on October 19, 2023, told Houston PD detectives that multiple students at the Accelerated Learning Charter Middle School came forward about Van Long allegedly making inappropriate comments to them via social media. One student said in an interview with detectives that when she was 14, she and Van Long would talk online through Instagram when he was her teacher. She said he drove to her house in December 2022, and she went with him into the backseat of his car where, quote, they made love and engaged in sexual activity, the affidavit said. He also climbed through her bedroom window, October 2023, officials said. Van Long allegedly admitted in an interview with detectives to having the girl complete sex acts on him from December 2022 through October 2023. He also allegedly said he sent multiple sexual messages through Instagram to multiple other students as well. In one such message, he allegedly encouraged, it's so damn sick, a 12-year-old girl to leave school so she could have sex with him. He's accused of engaging in sexual contact with at least 5 students. There may be more. Put up the superintendent. Buck stops with you. Sir, the buck stops with you. Superintendent Brandon Chandler told local CBS affiliate KHOU that Van Long was fired last year once the allegations were made. Records also show his teaching certificate lapsed in 2020. Why was he still teaching? To the superintendent, I know that you are not the offender. Having a culture to where students report things like this immediately has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. There may be more victims, and you may have more educators involved in this kind of behavior. Sir, take it seriously. We will bring updates. Wosney, this is some sick mess. It was perpetual. It was multiple victims. The man was climbing through windows to get to children. What say you?
Yeah, I don't have a problem calling this evil behavior. This goes beyond troubling. This is just pure evil.
Yeah.
That a guy who was charged with caretaking young students, that he would use that opportunity to be a predator in that situation. It's horrible. Obviously, I hope he gets prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And my thoughts are with those young people and their families, because these are hard things to recover from. And I will say this also, you mentioned the superintendent, Dr. Ritchie. I myself have become extremely disillusioned with this charter school movement as the years go on. The loosey-goosey, wild, wild west nature unregulated nature of these schools, that they get all of these public funding and they essentially carry themselves how they want, any which way they want, and it's just so sloppy. Oftentimes, I know a lot of people who work in the charter schools, particularly out in New York City, where I'm from, and again, it's just a wild, wild west. These entities just kind of do whatever they want, and they prey on the idea that parents are desperate to try to get, the best education they can for their kids. And there's this perception that the public schools, the normal ones, are failing the kids. And so oftentimes they think these charter schools, which again have no oversight, no regulation, are a better option. And then we see these horrible things happen.
Yeah, and many times it takes away from the public funding of the normative school system in order to subsidize charter industries. All right. A Christian boarding school, well, the authorities of that institution, they have been charged with kidnapping. Put it up full mass. It's a damn shame. Per the Associated Press, 57-year-old Larry Musgraves Jr. and 64-year-old Carmen Musgraves, the husband and wife owners of ABM Ministries, have been jailed without bond and charged with first-degree kidnapping after a lengthy investigation by the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. Put up the sheriff. The Wayne County Sheriff, Dean Finch, said in a news release, Larry was arrested Friday evening on the ABM Ministries campus in Piedmont, Missouri, and Carmen was arrested around 3 a.m. Saturday when she came to jail to check on her husband. ABM Ministries website says its facility, operated as the Lighthouse Christian Academy, is a private Christian boarding school for boys ages 10 to 13, situated on a 250-acre plot of land. It includes a spring-fed pond and a pasture with animals. On average, it has around 40 students, and the website claims success in helping children who are troubled, learning impaired, or dealing with ADHD or other disorders. There's more. Finch said that since early January, his office received reports of 5 runaways from the school. In one instance, 2 boys were picked up by a neighboring resident and taken home. The boys asked her to call 911, but Finch said his investigation began several months ago after he was contacted by a former student living in Alabama. He followed up, interviewing other former students and eventually the current students. A probable cause statement says the former student told Finch that on her 18th birthday, she was locked in a small room and held against her will. The statement doesn't specify how long she was allegedly kept in the room. The sheriff's department, quote, anticipates more charges as the investigation continues, with more alleged victims coming forward. The news release stated all 5 boys who had run away since January have now been returned to their homes, the Kansas City Star reported. Additionally, when the school was co-ed in 2009, when a federal lawsuit accused a former principal of sex acts with a female student and alleged that the Musgraves failed to take action to protect the girl, court records show that ABM Ministries and the Musgraves agreed to pay $750,000 in a settlement, and the principal agreed to pay $100,000 in a settlement as well. Former students at ABM Ministries said justice was long overdue. Juliana Davis, now 34 years of age, said she was abused at the school in 2006 and 2007. Quote, "I'm glad that he took us seriously," Davis said of Sheriff Finch. There's a whole group of us that have been trying for decades, speaking out about what happened to us and what we saw. Another former student, Arelisa Baker, 31, recalled being put in a chokehold and having her head held underwater when she was a student from 2005 to 2007. Quote, "I never thought in a million years that charges would ever be brought," Baker said. "We just wanted the school shut down and the kids sent home. Let's put the sheriff back up. Sir, you are a good man. I don't know anything else about you. I don't know what mistakes you may have made. God knows we've all made mistakes. But this, what you have done, you went against the political grain of that local community. You went against people who were powerful in that local community. And you did the right thing by those who came to you and said this was happening in your county. Thank you for bringing some level of justice to those who have been victimized. And thank you for stopping future victims that would have happened if this entity remained in play. All right, Wosney, this is actually good policing. I mean, he personally interviewed many of these victims himself before going full throttle with the investigation. What say you?
Yeah, oftentimes it takes a guy brave enough to do his job. That's the kind of the craziest part, that this guy did not rest on his laurels and say, you know what, I'm gonna go out and get some level of reciprocity for these folks, some justice. And kudos to him. And of course, it's always tough because it tends to be that people in authority tend to be buddy with each other. They tend to, I don't want to say it's cronyism, but there's just tends to be this benefit of the doubt given to other people in positions of authority from fellow authority members, and that this guy took the victim so seriously and conducted an investigation, a thorough one, and it's resulted in charges. Like you said, kudos to this guy. He did a thing that a lot of people in his position would have just went along to get along, and he did it. So that's beautiful.
Well said. All right, we will bring updates. The sheriff said he believes more charges are coming. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier. Let me remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do.
No one is representing what I call the silent majority, which is about 2/3 of this country, indisputably progressive.
But now we say the time has come for regime change in American television.
The Young Turks Network.
You know, you have the Young Turks saying this is the time to fight for our values.
Young Turks is the oldest left media institution, I believe, that there is. Real front runner in the online media space.
You guys might know us.
Biggest online left of center outlet that exists.
All of you know the Young Turks?
People from this district heard about Justice Democrats by watching your show.
Thanks to the Young Turks for covering Trayvon Martin's case early on when few people were covered.
They don't stop, I won't stop. Racism won't stop, so I won't stop.
Species are at risk of going extinct. Major media outlets did not dedicate much time at all to that.
We reached a whole heap of people with our progressive message.
We're not the Young Turks, you're the Young Turks.
It's time to break down the myths of the right wing, the political elite in both parties, and the establishment media. Myths like the media has a liberal bias, hilarious, or America's a center-right country, preposterous. The truth is that the American people are progressive, and no matter what party or media elites say, justice is coming. I've written a book that makes this clear and shows you we're gonna get it done. It's called Justice is Coming, and you can get it anywhere books and audiobooks are sold.
Tell me about the shirt you're wearing.
Pretty much speaks for itself. What's the penalty for treason? Death. Everything was phenomenal under Donald Trump, and now it's Obama calling the shots right now. It ain't Biden.
So it's Obama calling the shots?
I believe so. None of this would be happening if they hadn't stolen the 2020 election from Trump and we the people.
If you could have an option of 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president, what would you choose?
Donald Trump.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of comments, but not a lot of time. I will try to read as many as I can. Very interesting. I wish you Dragon would. Wow, Doc, you've got a full-on horror show for us today. I know, I say the same, but the horror is worse for the victims who experienced it. And so naturally, we try to make sure we are a disinfectant to corruption, and light does that. You are part of that. Winter Scoop. Serious question. How the hell do these sick pedos think they're going to get away with it? This guy got away with it for years. I mean, for years he got away with it. And then the kidnapping, that was years too. And yeah, I agree. Javar Ellis, and y'all call yourself Christians. What is this? They're the devil. That's what they are. They're Satan to those children for sure. All right, and Melanie 44, the lack of teaching about consent, sex education, as well as the lack of laws and follow through are severely lacking in schools and homes. Some parents don't teach what's needed or lie, especially with those of a certain ideology. That is correct. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Dentro do seu carro, eu falei, fecha a sua janela, falei pra ele. Olha que louco. Ai, que louco. Olha que louco.
We don't want you here if you don't speak English.
Close your window.
No, I'm not closing my window. You go
It's my car, it's my phone, it's my friend.
You can do what you want.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, you're not welcome. You might be here, but you're not welcome.
I am. No. Yes, I am.
Not by me.
Yeah.
Not by me.
I'm not worried about you.
And a lot of people like me feel the same way.
No. I never happened this. This is the first time.
Well, that's because nobody says nothing. They keep it to themselves.
Uh-huh.
I'm one of the people that tell you.
Okay.
Very few are like me that tell you. They keep it inside.
Okay.
Most people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to tell you because they feel bad.
There's more.
Anybody, only you.
Care.
I don't care for you
too.
You're
going back as soon as Trump gets in.
Okay.
You understand that? There's no temporary protection status.
Okay.
Yeah, keep filming me and make sure you send it to the whole world and every internet.
Okay.
Because we don't want you here.
Yeah, I will sue you.
You understand?
Uh-huh.
You don't understand.
Yeah, I really understand. My husband is American.
I don't care what your husband is.
Uh-huh.
You should speak English if you're in America.
Yeah, I speak English.
I don't speak English. Yeah. And I'm the fourth generation on both sides. And I speak very poorly.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to do to speak properly. A lot to learn. You're laughing. You think it's funny.
Yeah, you are. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You did my day better.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. God bless you.
Thank you.
You You're gonna need it.
You too.
You're gonna need it.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you.
Put up full mask. You see, there are a lot of people, sir, who feel the way I feel. They just won't tell you. But I am going to tell you. What you have done is simply expose yourself and the realization of racism inside of you. You also talked about how there are many who feel like you. And yes, there are members of your family, people who vote for Donald Trump, like yourself. But this opportunity is for your family. Here, we provide a mirror. Now, I don't believe you're going to be able to accept how you look in this mirror, but there may be someone in your family who's willing to see this and have a conversation with you. Why do you think, sir, it is okay to simply talk against the existence of another human being in such a way? And then at the end of that, you tell them, God bless. You think this is ordained and blessed by God? Let me ask you this, sir. Where did you come from? Before you were born, where did you come from? Do you believe you came from God? Where did your mother come from? You believe your mother came from God? Do you believe life came from God? If so, the person you are being racist against came from the same place you came from, since you happen to be a man of faith. All right, Wosney, sometimes Christian ideology just don't add up in the minds of some folk. I don't understand. If you believe in God and you don't believe in anything else, you have to believe y'all came from the same place. What say you?
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that this guy is any true or, actualized version of a devout Christian. I would imagine this guy is just running his yap, but it's just hate and some obvious self-loathing there. You see, he said, I need to work on my English sometimes. I mean, the guy clearly has some personal issues to be accosting a woman at that. That's the thing that kills me, is that you would accost a woman who's minding her business that way. And you call yourself a so-called man. That's just ridiculous. And that's the funny thing too, Dr. Richie. It's like, even if sometimes these people be like, oh, we just believe in a strong border. Okay, cool, whatever. We believe our country should have sovereignty, whatever. Cool, but this idea that you run into everyday people and harass them and treat them this way for no reason whatsoever, people who are just minding their business, just trying to live their lives. I don't see how anybody could be for that.
Yeah, if Yeshua was in America, he would be an undocumented carpenter. All right, okay. This is an update to a story we brought you. There's a cop, he engages with this young person, should not have. He ends up dying of a heart attack. They charged the kid. Well, those charges have been dropped, and there's another nuance here. I'm going to remind you of the incident. Here it is.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, why, when I was driving around, stop.
Eating.
Okay, but why did you get up and walk away?
Huh?
When you saw me, you got up and walked away. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
But you meet me, I go for drinking. I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
Huh?
You have any weapons on you?
No.
Well, you know what that is. Turn around, let me look.
No.
Turn around.
No.
Turn around.
But no.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me. I'm checking you for what? Get your hands away from your...
No.
Stop.
No.
Stop.
No. I'm sorry. Hey. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Turn around. Get on the ground.
Get on the ground. Hey, I'm sorry.
Get on the ground.
I'm sorry. Oh, Dios. I'm 1046. I'm sorry. Put your hands.
4477, you 10-4.
I'm sorry.
1046.
I'm sorry. Hey, come in.
Stop!
Go! Stop! Lay down!
Put it up full mass. Okay? This is an update. Florida cop. So the charges against Mr. Mendez, the young person you see, who is from Guatemala, is a teenager. He was blamed for causing the death of St. Johns County Sergeant Michael Kunovich. Those charges have been officially dropped. Remember, the cop had a heart attack. Okay? Further details. In May 2023, Mendez was walking outside near a motel, talking to his mother on the phone when the sergeant approached and started questioning him because he simply looked suspicious. This is already a bad interaction. Body camera footage shows the teen responding to the officer in another language, spoken in his home country, because he doesn't speak English. So he did not understand what the cop was actually saying. However, the officer continued to ask if he had any identification, any weapons, to which Mendez's response is no. As Mendez attempted to walk away, the sergeant and another officer forced the teen to the ground. He was shot multiple times during the struggle that resulted in him being handcuffed. Now, remember, there is nothing illegal yet. He's free to go. There's no reason to detain him. He has not broken the law. They have not said we're detaining you for the sake of investigating this crime. The sergeant suffered a heart attack in the process shortly afterward. The medical examiner determined that irregular heartbeat and potentially the emotional stress from the incident played a part in the officer's death. According to local reports, Mendez, now 19 years old, was charged with manslaughter. They charged him with killing the cop. Okay? Insane, right? And they charged him with resisting law enforcement with violence. He has been in federal custody since last year. Put up the sheriff. Sheriff Robert Hardwick backed the sergeant, stating that, quote, he died a hero protecting the citizens of St. Johns County, and there is nothing more noble than that. Sir, I'm sorry to inform you. Keep his picture up. Sheriff, he died violating the rights of a human being he assumed was a criminal. Something that is prohibited by our U.S. Constitution. That is the reason the charges were dropped against Mr. Mendez. However, advocates and supporters have been calling for his release, highlighting in an active petition that if Mendez was convicted, quote, it will create an extremely dangerous precedent in this country. That's right. His attorney said they would pursue legal action if the case was not dismissed. On Friday, the 7th District Attorney's Office released a statement announcing that the charges against Mendez have been cleared. Local news reported that the teen is now facing deportation. Wow. Wosney, if they would have gotten away with this, you got to think about it beyond the moment. It would have been bad in the moment, right? Because the kid did not try to kill a cop. He should not be charged with manslaughter. The cop was violating the rights of another human being in the process. But if they would have moved forward and landed a conviction here, it then would have opened the door for precedent throughout this entire country. If you have any contact with law enforcement and that law enforcement officer somehow dies, which is a sad thing because of their job, you can be charged with murdering the cop. That is a horrible precedent that damn near got established just last year. What say you?
One of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. If the gentleman would have, I don't know, kicked this officer in the chest, punched him in the chest, tackled him, actually inflicted some physical harm on the officer, you might, I'd still be dubious of the idea that he caused the guy's death, but you might be willing to hear this. But it was the officer who initiated contact with him, who initiated this, this exchange, and it was his own doing. Obviously, it's sad that the officer passed. I'm sure he has a family who loved him and care about him, and it's sad that this guy passed away. But the idea that the person who was arrested here was anything other than a victim of this cop's actions is absurd. And then the notion that this guy died to be a hero, man, we have lowered the bar for what we consider heroic in this damn country. I'll tell you that.
That's right. Well said. All right. Mark Robinson wins GOP primary for North Carolina gubernatorial race. He said that actually black people aren't owed reparations, that we owe America reparations. He said some other really crazy things too. He is called Dr. King on steroids. Put him up full mass. This is insanity on top of insanity. I'm going to give you some twists and turns here. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson won the gubernatorial primary election last night. Trump endorsed Robinson in the state's gubernatorial race despite, or maybe because of, Robinson's history of controversial statements concerning gender, race, and sexuality. Here's what Trump said of Robinson.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids, okay? Now, I told that to Mark. I said, I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times 2.
Put up the GOP nominee for governor for a moment. Obviously, Uncle Tommy pays off. So this individual literally says the most adverse and controversial things you could think of against black people. He is an elected official. He has won his GOP primary. He has tap danced his way all the way to the stage. Robinson, who is also a pastor, and I guarantee you he has a picture of white Jesus, endorsed Trump for re-election in June at the Faith and Freedom Coalition Conference in Washington, D.C. The GOP front runner to become the next governor of North Carolina, Robinson previously faced criticism for a series of hurtful comments about women, Muslim, Jews, homosexuality, and sexual abuse victims. I mean, he checks all the boxes here to be a Trump supporter. He also fought against teaching critical race theory in state schools and said children should be taught about Adolf Hitler and other dictators. Robinson has mocked school shooting survivors who advocate for gun control. He also once proclaimed that African Americans owed reparations for being emancipated from slavery. We actually owe slave owners money. Their descendants, that's what we owe them money, according to him. There were some people talking about reparations in this country, Robinson said during the speech 2021, North Carolina Republican State Convention. Quote, and I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told him right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. Critics also cite his use of anti-Semitic stereotypes and his promotion of denying the Holocaust. But later this year, Robinson sought to distance himself from the self-inflicted controversies. Quote, there have been some Facebook posts that were poorly worded on my part, he told the state legislature in October. There is no anti-Semitism standing here in front of you. Yeah. Okay. I don't know where to start, but let me say this. If Donald Trump is your endorser for your blackness, you have erred in your journey. All right, Wosney, thoughts?
I think even the crowd met that MLK on steroids with a tepid response.
Yeah.
I think that's
like, I guess we got to clap.
They were like, look, I'll follow you anywhere, but right. MLK, this guy? I don't think so. But yeah, it's a joke. And we talk about it all the time up here, Dr. Richie, is that if you are a black person who is willing to put your face on the most vile and racist sort of stereotypes of black people that are known to man, if you're willing to put your name on that kind of stuff, there's money in it for you.
Yeah.
The GOP, the conservative movement's gravy train, they are always looking for faces of color to push their agenda so they can put you front and center and be like, look, here is my Negro. echoing all of our sentiments. So they can't even hit me with the racist crap. Here's my Latino. Here's my woman. You name the persecuted group. If you want to go against your group and be loud and wrong about it, there's money in it for you. And clearly this dude, he's taking the cooning and tap dancing to levels that have rarely ever seen. I mean, Black people owe America? I mean, that's just absurd.
Yeah, Tim Scott needs to step his game up because this guy, right?
We got to go to Tom finishing school.
He got to, man. He's going to have to top up that degree. We got more on the other side. Indisputable Secret Stay.
Don't allow the powerful to see you feeling hopeless. Even if you do feel hopeless, wallow in your pity and your misery. And I believe me, I do it all the time in the privacy of your own home, but never let them see that they're getting to you. Never let them think that we're gonna give up or that we feel defeated or deflated. You gotta put your game face on and you gotta keep fighting.
The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm new to TikTok, but about 3 years ago, I started my daily political news show, The Damage Report, because I noticed this trend where every morning I was waking up to this tsunami of news that was just generally dreadful and horrifying and shocking, and I thought that if I could spend my time helping people to navigate this, serving as a bit of a life raft, pointing out which news is important and why, there are worse ways to spend your day. We're not an average news show, and we don't want our TikTok presence to be average either, so feel free to let us know what you'd like us to do on the platform, and maybe give us a follow at The Damage Report.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. I wish Dragon Wood says, "Oh, Doc, I wish your husband was there. I'm curious as to how brave that Karen is." Yeah. And G. Martinez Mack, talking about the male Karen. That was a lot of energy to put into demonstrating hate publicly. This man has got super hearing to hear. Yeah, super hearing to hear through her glass in the car. Yeah. Amina says, I'm a Han, says, I would have said, I'd go back to Europe, period. And yeah, Woke Dragon says, here's Steven from Django. Talking about the North Carolina nominee for governor. And Apollo Racer, this man, the man is the furthest thing from MLK. I mean, if you're talking about a polar opposite, right? This guy has to fit the bill. He is polar opposite. And that's good. So T_Payne89 says, this is the only black man who has to say, well, I have black friends. All right. Well, protest, right? When people protest, they don't expect to be attacked. However, there's a man with a nail gun who doesn't like the pro-Palestinian protest that's happening. Here it is.
Every Palestinian. Huh? What a go, bitch.
You need to calm down and step back.
You have a problem?
Huh?
You have a problem? Don't you touch me, bitch. Don't you touch me. And you shot it at another guy. You piece of Don't do that, guys. What are you gonna do, bitch?
Yeah.
Put up the picture full mass. I have his information as well as some background. Let me remind everyone that a nail gun obviously can be a deadly weapon. Canadian police on Sunday arrested Abramov after he allegedly fired a nail gun at participants in a pro-Palestinian protest in the city of Vaughan. This is north of Toronto. Abramov was arrested on multiple charges, including possession of weapons dangerous to the public, assault with a deadly weapon or a weapon, and 2 additional counts of assault, according to the local police. Police were called to the scene on a Sunday after the suspect stopped his vehicle in front of the protesters. They were not bothering him. He was literally passing through. He began shouting obscenities, engaging in overt confrontation with 3 of them. That's according to the report cited by eyewitnesses. One protester who was involved in the confrontation told police that he discharged a nail gun that he was carrying. The police report said that nobody was hurt, thankfully, and that officers are continuing to investigate. According to the Canadian Jewish News, the protesters gathered outside of the Aish Thornhill community, Shaw, which was hosting an event focused on buying property in Israel promoted by local real estate agents. It was a private synagogue event open only to those who had registered. Activists who were demonstrating against Israeli real estate exposition that offered to explain listings from across Israel, including in towns and cities beyond the Green Line. Pro-Palestinian protesters accused the event of illegally selling Palestinian land. It's a legitimate protest and a legitimate complaint. They argued that such action meant the religious site was a legitimate place of protest because they were transacting commercial business. That was the argument of the protesters. All right, Woz, regardless of what anyone may believe about who's right and who's wrong, showing up to shoot people with a nail gun is always wrong. There's nobody here to harm you or to attack you, and it's not self-defense.
It's pure thuggery. There's no 2 ways about it. And quite frankly, if it was some people protesting on behalf of the cause of the state of Israel, all we'd be hearing about is anti-Semitic hate crimes and how you should bury this guy underneath the jail. And we know that to be the case. So I hope this guy is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I'm glad you mentioned that nail gun. It sounds, harmless. Oh, it's just a nail gun. No, that thing can cause deathly bodily harm. And so this guy needs to be locked up and prosecuted to the law's fullest extent. And let it be a warning to people that you just don't get to intimidate peaceful protesters, man. We got laws against that kind of thing. We live in a free society, and these people want to demonstrate against something they believe is illegal, which is, the settlements in the West Bank and Gaza. There you go.
Yep, there it is. All right, hell of a thing. All right. So there's a female protester. She gets harassed at a Biden event. Assaulted. Nobody does anything, and I got something to say about it. Here's the video.
Jill, when are you and Augusta going to call for a ceasefire?
Yeah, if I didn't know better, I would have thought that was a Trump rally. Put up the picture full mass. Let me give you the nuance here. The Answer Coalition is an anti-war and social justice activist group They shared the video of the female protester being violently grabbed and pulled by the crowd at an event with First Lady Jill Biden after the protester called for a ceasefire in Gaza. Very simple. It happens to damn near every presidential candidate or those who are talking on behalf of the presidential campaign. Jill, when are you and the president going to call for a ceasefire in Gaza? End quote. Yes. The question that I think people in the White House would like to know as well, including Vice President Kamala Harris. But I digress. The protester asked before she was pulled down by the audience and then dragged out by security. Dr. Biden spoke in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then in Arizona. This was Saturday. It was at the Fox Theater for a Women for Biden-Harris event that multiple protesters were removed from the premises. Protesters had interrupted the First Lady's 15-minute speech about Republican efforts to curb abortion rights at least 4 times. Meanwhile, the crowd reportedly drowned out each protester with chants of 4 more years. Yeah, all right. Taliana Vanette, one of the protesters who interrupted Biden's remarks, said she believes Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza against Palestinians. She will absolutely not vote for Joe Biden in the upcoming election. She also told USA Today, quote, "I was really disappointed. When we're talking about celebrating women and the importance of women in positions of power, that this topic of the femicide that is happening in Gaza wasn't addressed. There are women in Gaza having C-sections without anesthesia. There are children in the NICU who are dying because they don't have power in the incubators." And I want to say this. There's a report we did on Indisputable about Congressman Hank Johnson writing an open letter to the administration. It was signed off by other members of Congress. And he cited the humanitarian issues as relates in particular to children, to women, to the elderly. So I get it. The domestic policy is contrary to the international policy. It's hypocritical. American policy is schizophrenic at best. There's more. According to a press release, the United Nations women, led by the UN Women on March 1, an estimated 9,000 women have been reportedly killed by Israeli forces in Gaza to date. I think that number is wholly inaccurate and undervalues the true number, not including those who believe to have been to be dead under the rubble that they have not found. Every day, the war in Gaza continues. At the current rate, an average of 63 women will continue to be killed. An estimated 37 mothers are killed every day, leaving their families devastated and their children with diminished protection. The United Nations warned Sunday the child deaths will rapidly increase if humanitarian aid deliveries do not immediately increase, adding to pressure on the Israeli government over humanitarian conditions in the Israeli-Hamas war. Adele Coder, regional director of the UN Children's Aid Organization, said numerous reported child deaths in Gaza are man-made, predictable, and entirely preventable. Quote, "The widespread lack of nutritious food, safe water, and medical services, a direct consequence of the impediments to access and multiple dangers facing UN humanitarian operations, is impacting children and mothers, hindering their ability to breastfeed the babies, especially in the northern Gaza Strip. People are hungry, exhausted, and traumatized. Many are clinging to life." Put up the statistics, key figures. Day 151, 30,717 fatalities. Palestinian fatalities. Internally displaced 1.7 million, that's 75% of Gaza. 2.2 million people face crisis or worse levels of food insecurity. 0 hours of electricity. Also, per the UN, 1 million children are in need of mental health and psychosocial support. 17,000 children are unaccompanied or separated from their parents. Per an Al Jazeera report, March 1st, more than 25,000 Palestinian women and children have been killed in Israelis' war on Gaza since October 7th. That's according to U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. And I have to remind everybody again, the average age of a Palestinian in Gaza is 19.2 years of age. Over 40% of the Palestinians are under 14 years of age. They are killing children. They are not Hamas. It is a proxy. It is a proxy. And most Israelis, I'm not talking about the Israeli government, most Israelis understand that Netanyahu is using the Palestinians or using Hamas in order to kill Palestinians. Most Israelis do not approve of the governance of Netanyahu based on the last 3 polling data sets we have publicly available. Netanyahu says he has to kill Palestinians because Hamas is hiding behind them, using Palestinians as shields. But if Hamas was hiding in Israel, he would not indiscriminately kill Israelis in order to get to Hamas, proving how he devalues the life of Palestinian children. Wosney, thoughts?
I mean, there's just no question that there are unspeakable atrocities happening in Gaza. If some people want to say, oh, it's unavoidable, whatever, these are atrocities happening, and these people are going through an unimaginable hell. And the idea that Joe Biden is supporting this and enabling this and encouraging this ultimately is quite gross. And if he loses the election for it, these little protests that are happening at his little campaign rallies are the least of his problems.
Yep.
He's going to lose for this.
That's right.
And I would say that he deserved it.
And here's the thing, listen to them. Listen to the protesters. They are the conscious right now. They are the voice of reason. But here's the thing, Wosney, you know this to be true. As much disagreement as we have with Republicans in their party, they would have never turned their back on 80% of their own constituents. 80% of Democrats disagree with Biden. All right. Dear brother, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Peace, man. Peace. Thank you for having me as always. Just check my work out theringer.com and subscribe to the Woke Bros wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you, my friend. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace. All right. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.